Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Medium's Table. I'm your host, Michelle Gardner. This podcast is your personal invitation to join me at the intersection of the everyday and the extraordinary. Together, we'll explore the magic of mediumship, share spiritual stories, and connect with fellow mediums on this incredible journey. So grab a seat, pour yourself a cuppa, and come join us at the Medium's Table, where spirits gather and stories unfold. Disclaimer, just a heads up to all our lovely followers. Our social media is a space where we share personal stories, including those of various mediums. Let's keep the vibe positive and respect each other's beliefs. Every journey is unique, and here we celebrate the diversity of experiences. I'd like to welcome to the show our amazing, hilarious, funny, and unruly panel of mediums. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Hello.
It is like trying to control a bunch of unruly school children, and there's always that odd, really, really naughty one or two. I'm not going to point fingers.
Alicia.
Anyway.
Definitely a competition for that.
Exactly. So I can probably honestly say at the end of this recording, I will be contacting a few parents because there'll need to be some disciplinary actions. But anyway, so
Good
today,
medium, Michelle, because most of them aren't here anymore.
well, there you go. So multiple ways of communication. Funny enough, which is going to go with our topic today. So now we are going to discuss, and this is our very first panel of mediums, which I'm sure will be one of many. We're going to discuss a question, a burning question that may be on the minds and the lips of many out there around the world. So in English, we will bring you this question. But first, we're going to go around the room and we're going to share where we're each from and what we do, because we're from all over the world. And we're going to start with Julie.
Hi, I live in Pennsylvania in the United States, and I'm a medium and Reiki master and paranormal investigator. And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Dawn with an E, because we have two Dawns in here.
Hi, I'm Dawn. I live in Ontario, Canada. I am a medium. I do practice Reiki, and I'm actually a landscape gardener also.
Ooh.
And I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you. Christian.
Hi, my name's Christian. I live in the Bronx, New York City, and I'm a certified psychic medium and tarot card reader, and I also do channeling, and I'm a landlord.
Excellent. He's the bad boy of the group. He's from the Bronx. So, Kim.
Hello, my name is Kim. I'm from Chicago. I'm glad to be here. I am a practicing holistic energy worker and a medium.
Thank you. Dawn with no E.
Hi, everyone. I'm the number one Dawn, the original article.
Yes, she is.
I am. I'm from England. I'm a medium. I'm also a trance medium, as well as a publisher and an author. So I've published a number of books and a few colouring books as well. Yeah, so I've got my fingers in many pies. So that's me.
Have you got those books there for a quick flash?
Oh, go on then.
For those that are visually able to see on YouTube.
So here's a book I wrote about how to research a family tree. So that's another string to my bow. And then just some colouring books that I wrote, or got published, should I say, with a designer of mine. He's a very, very good designer. Nice little Halloween one.
Oh,
Really
lovely.
cute. And this is my favourite.
Oh, nice. So for people that
And I
can't
have
see,
one.
it was an Enchanted Fairy Realms book, colouring book.
Yeah.
She's got a Halloween
So-
one there for those who are listening, and the other one was an activity book. Was that correct, Dawn?
So now, again, a colouring book for boys, particularly, robots, dinosaurs, but girls can use it as well. It's for anybody, realistically. I've coloured a few in there because I get a bit bored every now and again. And a new one out any day now. It's
Oh,
called
lovely.
Swearing cats.
Right. That would be, I'm sure that's going to be a hot one.
And where can
Thank
where can we get these? Where can they pick them up?
Oh, you can get them from Amazon. If you just search Galadron Publishing, then you'll see all the books that I've published under that publishing company name.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Dawn. Alicia.
No problem.
Hi, I'm Alicia, and I'm from New Hampshire in the United States. I do practice Reiki, and I'm a medium. I'm an intuitive, and I do all things through synchronicity. And yeah, serve churches. What else do I do? A lot of things. I'm a jack of all trades.
Fantastic.
TikToker. Brilliant TikToks.
Yeah, exactly. Jeanette.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, Alicia. Were you finished? Did I just cut you off there?
I'm finished. Nope, I'm done. It's a wrap.
Jeanette.
Hi, guys. I'm Jeanette from Miami. Born in Cuba, came to the United States at about 14 months, raised in Southern California, and now down here in tropical Miami. And I am a medium, channeler, trance medium. And I channel, funny enough, sometimes in Spanish, sometimes in English. Same thing with trance, because I'd always wondered about linguistics. They know what language I guess I speak, and depending on who's with me is what comes across. I'm not quite as ambitious as my buddy Don without the E. But yes, I am just kind of discovering all of this and moving through it, reading a lot of books that are out there, and just enjoying the process and the present moment. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And you'll find all of these mediums who are here with me today have been interviewed. So you can look for their interviews on our podcast. Now, the burning question that we have for everybody today is, can spirits communicate with the living, and how? And what we're going to do is go around to each medium, and I want you guys to give your version or your story or your answer, whatever that may be, to this question. And we're going to start with Julie.
So I certainly believe that they can communicate. I communicate with my guides and my deceased loved ones constantly, I think. And sometimes friends who I've lost track of, actually. Twice I've been led to find obituaries online of people who I didn't even know had passed. One of those stories is happened in January of 2013. I was just on my computer and for some random reason searched a Tampa newspaper, probably from something else I had read in the news and was researching it. And at the top of that newspaper was the death notice of the mother of one of my high school boyfriends. So now I have no doubt that that was literally her reaching out to me. I did have the inclination to maybe go on to the guest, you can sign in on their funeral site and leave a comment. And I just thought that was a little too strange for even me. So I did not do that. And that might have been a missed opportunity because I am now married to that man.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Was led to him through other spiritual hints and guides. So
that is freakily great, isn't it? That they got you to meet up with him again. And as you say, that was a missed opportunity.
We got it at the end. It's all good.
Fantastic.
They keep coming at us till we figure it out.
Thank
That's
you.
right. Thank you.
Dawn with an E.
Okay, I've got a couple of things to share. As far as signs go from spirit, so my husband, he's sort of a bit skeptical about things, but he listens to me sometimes. So anyway, he was finding dimes for a little while. And I said, those are signs from spirit. when you find dimes? And he's like, no, no, no. So it kept on going. It probably went on for months. And so he started to really take notice, and he's like, I found another dime. And I would find dimes too. And I said, somebody is sending you, a little message that they're keeping tabs on you. So the one day, it was a summer day, and we were sitting outside, and we had some friends over. And our one friend, he was leaving. So he walked out the driveway, went to his car, and looked down. And we saw him pick something up, and he walked back, and he went up to my husband and said, I feel like I should give this to you. And it was a dime.
Wow.
So that was just, and I said, I knew it. Yeah. So that was really good. That kind of, freaked him out a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. So then,
Wouldn't have been $100 then, no?
Oh, we probably had at least $5 a dime. So then, now my mother-in-law had passed away in 1993, and my husband has two sisters, and every year I go with them on a girls' weekend. There's a whole bunch of us. So they would always say, like, there would always be a dragonfly buzzing around, and they would always say, oh, Mom's here for girls' weekend. And, that kind of went on for a few years. And then the one year, the dragonfly was flying around my youngest sister-in-law, and it landed on her head. And she's like, oh, Mom's here. And she said, Mom, if that's really you, I want you to crawl onto my face. And it did. It went right onto her cheek. And everybody just went, whoa. And I'm like, awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
And that was before I even became a medium. So those are a couple of things that I watched like happen to other people. But just recently I had an experience. My husband was in the hospital. And so I was going back and forth, to see him. I was in a different town. And I was, now my mother-in-law and my father-in-law are both on the other side. And I was thinking about them as I was driving to the hospital. And I was thinking, I know that you're with him, please, just stay with him, And so that was fine. The next day, I was returning to the hospital, and on a sign, it was at a bed and breakfast, and they host weddings. And so my in-laws, their name is Valerie and Mike. And on the sign, it said, congratulations, Valerie and Michael. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
So that was just about 2 months ago. So that was really hard. That really made me feel good.
Yeah.
And everything worked out very well. He's good, and he's healthy and home. So yeah. So there are a few of my experiences with spirit signs and messages.
That's amazing. Thank you, Dawn. Wow.
Yeah.
Just everyday life, and there they are. Mm.
Yeah, that's it, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. Christian.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the most vivid experience was when my mother transitioned to spirit. And basically, she appeared to me looking 25 years old, informing me of the fact that she had died. And I didn't get the official word that she had died for another 6 hours. And what was amazing about it to me was, A, she looked so good looking 25 years old, but B, I didn't know whether or not to be happy she was okay, sad she was dead, or annoyed that she was off to party and I wasn't invited. And that is my her entire personality in a nutshell. And it made going through visiting with family like later in that day much easier, and much easier for me to deal with their pain and grief, because I didn't really have a lot of pain and grief at my mother's transition, because she didn't really go anywhere. In fact, in a way, she was and became easier to communicate with, because she was only and she is one of the spirits that I can hear clairaudiently on a regular basis, whereas I'm not very clairaudient otherwise. But all relationships are eternal, and your passed on relatives and friends can definitely communicate with you if they want to, and if you're open to the communication. The trick is being open to the communication.
Yeah, fantastic advice.
That is
Fantastic.
so lovely. Imagine having your mother in your ear all the time.
Isn't that everybody's dream?
That could be good or bad.
Taught me that my mother is a whole lot more progressive than I thought she was.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't think I want my mum in my ear. Or mind you, she's still alive, so anyway.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Kim.
I do believe in spirits communicating with us. And I think looking back, I just remembered something that I hadn't thought about in a long time. Excuse me. I remember watching a TV show about spirits on the other side. And this is like 20 years ago, probably, right? 15 years ago. And I remember I was thinking, I wonder if I could connect. And I was thinking about my husband's aunt. And next thing I know, I was in my mind's eye, I was laying on my back in the ambulance looking up at the ceiling. And, and I was really taken aback, and she had a traumatic, passing. And then, there's other experiences, right? So people have told me, if you're experiencing ghosts in your house, then you're a medium. And I didn't believe that, right? So how crazy is that? Like, no, it's just ghosts hanging out, that doesn't make me a medium. But working in energy work, that's my passion, the energy work. So doing that. And then about 7-8 years ago, I really started relaying people that I was seeing while I was working on somebody, and I was really skeptical at the same time. So, but little by little, you just really have to accept that, yes, there is after death communication. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it certainly is. Thank you, Kim. It certainly is. Dawn with no E.
Original Dawn.
The original. Thank you, Dawn. So glad you acknowledged that. Well, actually, today is a special day for me, and it's my dad's birthday. He is in spirit. As you were all talking, I was just thinking, thank you. So I was just thinking about when he died, actually. So my parents divorced when I was a kid, and he moved back to where we're originally from, which is Liverpool, which is the north of England, and we live in the south of England. And as a kid, it was quite difficult travel-wise. It was quite expensive for my mum, as one of 5 kids, blah, 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 blah. So didn't get to see him that often. And relationships, at times were a bit strained as a grown-up teenagerhood and all that malarkey, living through life and stuff. But the one constant from my dad was when I first learned to drive, was I jump in the car and I drive to Liverpool. I wouldn't get from him, I love you. I would get from him, have you pumped up the air in your tires? Have you put oil in the car? Is there water in the radiator? Have you got water for your windscreen? So I knew he was out for my best interest. Along the journey, I'd get a phone call. What junction on the motorway are you on? How long do you reckon you're going to be now? So that was him constantly being with me for the journey. So when he died, I was in no fit state to kind of drive back. My daughter had driven me up there, and we were driving back home, and my dad was a phenomenal fan of Elvis Presley. And it just so happens on my playlist was Elvis Presley. As I say, I had a few thoughts that, when I was a kid, my dad didn't care about me, all that kind of stuff. And I was ruminating on this along this journey. And when I say to you that spirits can communicate through songs, they can. Because as I'm thinking that, the next song that came on was You Were Always on My Mind.
Oh,
I tear up now because it's so overwhelming. So I'm in the car and I'm sobbing like a lunatic, and the kids are going, "Oh, Mom, are you okay?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Just leave it on. So I said, but I do need to go to the toilet. So on the motorway, the freeway, I guess you guys in America would call it, and we pull off into services and we pull up, park the car. I look up and there's this bloody big billboard and it says, "Have you checked your oil? Have you checked your tires? Have you checked your water?" And of course, I then started screaming, laughing like a lunatic. So yeah, my dad was with me on that journey home.
wow.
100%. So that's just one example. And it does get very emotional when, you get these communications, and who says you've got to be open to it? Just
Christian.
Christian. You have to be open to it because that wasn't coincidence. That was the right time, the right place, the right moment. And when people are thinking in their minds about their loved ones, keep your eyes open because you're missing the small signs. I mean, in my case, my dad wanted to go large. So, we did.
Billboards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
nothing else would do, Dawn, to be honest with you. Nothing else would do. But yeah, keep your eyes open. They do communicate in, small ways, big ways. You can't deny it.
There's
Really
no limit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was me.
Yeah. Thank you, Dawn. Alicia, what do you have for us?
Oh, it's my turn. I'm allowed to speak now. Oh,
yeah.
Boy. I think when we look for the signs, that's important because they can come through people or they can come through songs or lyrics, and there's so many different ways. But one of my favorite stories was, this was years ago. I did not like seeing spirit. I did not like them popping in whenever they so wanted. And ever since I was little, I'd be like, ugh. So I just said, no, I don't want to see you. You can talk to me all day long. Don't care. I don't want to see you. Okay. So I'm driving in New Hampshire on this dark road, middle of the night, trying to get home. It's this dark, windy road. And all of a sudden I got cold and I heard, "Hey." And I looked over and it was a friend of mine and my ex-husband. And we had just divorced a few years prior. And I'm like, you can go now, you can talk. And he wouldn't go. And he was there and he was smoking his cigar. He used to always smoke. It was a Cohiba. And he would have to get them special. And he always drank a special, expensive, double malted scotch. And there he was with his crystal glass, with his scotch and his cigar. And I said, since you are staying here, please tell me, what is it you want? And he goes, I just wanted to say, I knew everything and I really, really liked you. You were a special person. And I was like, oh. And he goes, you'll do great things. And I'm like, thank you, Jimmy. And he was gone just like that. And it was in that time period, I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that. And it's interesting because I hear Dawn speak of her father. My father, we were on hospice and he was on hospice. We knew exactly how many days almost. And I was always writing. So I'm kind of like a trans channel. So but I didn't know it then, right? So I'm writing and he's going to die this night and you need to get these things done. So I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? He still has a few more days. Anyhow, he didn't. And that night, I didn't even think about it. I'm sitting there, standing and holding his hand. My mother and my sister were over the side of the room. And I could feel, and I looked at the end of his bed, and I could see all of these people that knew him gathering in spirit. And I could see them coming in at the end of the bed. He couldn't speak, and he wasn't able to communicate whatsoever. And his eyes were mostly closed during this time. And I'm holding his hand, and he looks up, and I go, they're here. And my father was very afraid to die, very afraid. And I go, they're here, Dad. They're here. They've come to get you. It's okay. You can go home now. And he just looked at me. He smiled. He took a big, huge breath, and he was gone. And I said to my mother and sister, he's gone. Oh, no, get the nurse. And I'm like, no, he's passed. And I could see him etherically walking my mother out of the hospital in his gown. It was really kind of interesting to me. And he's behind her as he's walking her out the door. And I thought, interesting. So for a week, I didn't go anywhere because I really love my dad. And a good friend called me and said, we need to go sing karaoke. I'm like, oh, no, I don't know. Yes, come on, we're going out. So out we go. And I said, okay, I'm going to get a Diet Coke. Now, this place we went to listen to karaoke played really mainstream music. It was all popular. And I go up to the bar to get this Diet Coke. And all of a sudden, I heard this man go, okay. And he starts singing my father's favorite song. And this blew my mind because my dad loved Johnny Mathis. He loved Eddie Arnold, and that's all he listened to besides Johnny Cash. And this man goes, put your head on my shoulder, whisper in my ear, baby. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, no, it can't be. And the man goes, no. And he starts singing another one. Make the world go away. And take it off my shoulders. Say the things you used to say. Make the world go away. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't sing. But these were his favorite songs. And it was bizarre. It really was, Dawn. So I can totally relate. And Christian, I can relate to why my father always shows up, and most spirit people show up either 25 or 30. That is their age. Like, I don't know why they do that, but my dad loves showing up. He's 30.
Why wouldn't you, though? I mean, God, yeah. I want to look really hot when I'm there.
Yeah. Great hair.
My mother at that age looked like Audrey Hepburn, and she liked looking like that. So, I mean, I totally get why she would do that way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they always show themselves at that age. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's interesting.
Wow. Fascinating.
But they don't always show themselves at that age, okay? Like with my grandmother, Hale, my mother's mother, if she's coming to me just to say hi and, chit-chat, she'll look 25 years old. But if she's coming by to lecture me, He was 55, looking 75.
That's fun.
That's funny.
I love that.
Yeah, that's
I love it.
awesome. Jeanette, what do you have for us?
Well, first of all, let me just tell you how fantastic it is, because when you find yourself in this world where many of us are like, oh, what is this? What's happening? To find individuals that have an understanding, who've been where you've been, and have yet other stories, you're like, okay, not crazy. There's something to this. My background is very empirical, psychology and proving hypothesis, and and wanting evidence. My husband was both an accountant, an attorney, and an entrepreneur, businessman, really smart guy. Coming up on like his fourth year passing his ascension. He passed quite unexpectedly, went out for a run. He was in great shape, 6-degree black belt, and he just never came back. Had a massive heart attack. My daughter and I, to say our world was turned upside down is minimalizing it. And one of the first things people do, and I realize as a therapist that our society really is inept on how to approach someone who has, such a, either when they lose a child or just unexpected tragic things, we fall short. We really do. So we do the best we can. Books, and books. People give you books, and people give you books. And, you hear he's in a better place, and you hear all these commentaries where you kind of like refrain from physically assaulting them because they, because when we're in that position, we say the same thing. There's like a standard phrase when you go to a funeral. So anyway, my daughter gives me a book. And because it came from her, I'm like, okay, we're going through the same thing. Let me check it out. And it was called Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson. So I start reading this book, and it first hooks me because she talks about different universities who've actually done some scientific study on brain waves and when individuals are in an altered state of consciousness, when they're bringing somebody through and doing a mediumship reading. So I saw that there was now at this point some scientific, connection between the mediumship and the spirit world and science. So I read her book, and she talks about signs, and she talks about even creating an entire vocabulary with your person that has passed. So I'm like, hi, I'm game. I will come up with a sign, but I'm giving it some tremendous thought because it's not going to be a butterfly or a dragonfly or a rainbow. It's got to be something, I really want to test this. I want some statistical evidence.
Billboard.
So I come up with Poseidon or Triton. I'll take either, okay? Because Poseidon, Greek mythology, is the dad of Triton, and they both are like gorgeous sea creatures. So either one would do for me at that time. So that's a very difficult, odd thing, that you don't normally see when you're driving around town in Miami, or at least in my life, unless you go on a cruise, okay? So it's about 7 years since his passing, and my sister's birthday at the beach, and they're really trying to get me to come out. And so I go, it's a family thing. It's a family beach. And we're about 3 rows back from the water's edge, and family in front of us had put up this huge tent. Very, very understanding of them for the people behind them. But anyway, that's what they do here. So big tent, bunch of kids, whole family reunion. And I'm just watching, and I'm kind of drifting off into my own world, thinking of memories of when my kid was that age. And, I'm drifting. And the mom's drying off this child. And then she goes to take the towel to clip it onto the tent so that it'll dry off. And she puts it with the photo, or the image facing me. And if you can guess at this point, she clips it up, and it's Poseidon, or the dad from The Little Mermaid.
No way.
My daughter's middle name is Ariel. If I can tell you, I don't know how many times we saw Little Mermaid when she was growing up. I have seen all kinds of backpack, t-shirts, bathing suits, everything with the Little Mermaid, with the little crab guy. Never the dad, because he was a mean character. Nobody really liked him. But I sat there and with that towel, and I went, you got to be kidding me. Okay, I processed it, took it in, and I said, I want even more. If that really was you, Michael, give me something else. So as we're driving home, we stop at getting ready to make a turn, and my daughter's like, Mom, look at the truck in front of us. And in the back of the truck, it's crazy when you think back, right? Huge Poseidon Catering. We worked in the restaurant business for a while. I had never heard of Poseidon Catering. And then there was another thing. I said, okay, I got to put myself out there. I went to a seminar at a beach location, a couple hours from where I live. It was a weekend thing. And I get a little lost. So I pull over. I take get off the main highway, A1A, and I go into this little neighborhood and I stop in front of a house. And I'm checking my GPS and I'm looking at the address. And I'm like, oh my God, where the hell am I? And I look over to this small home and it had this monstrous, huge fountain in front of it, completely off scale. I'm like, what were they thinking? And then I look into the middle. It has this enormous statue, also off scale with the house. And of course, it's Poseidon. It's Poseidon. And I'm like, wow. So Poseidon just kept showing up over and over again. We have found it'll be 4 years now, coming up in a few days, actually, when there's something difficult. My daughter got a new puppy and he was really sick, and we were at this hospital, and their food vending machine thing was Poseidon Foods, where you get the M&Ms and whatever the stuff, the garbage food she's like, Mom, I think this is a sign that he's going to be okay. And sure enough, it turned out to be nothing. And it was, they didn't know if this little guy was going to make it or not, but it was nothing. So I find that they pop up when you need them. If you allow yourself to see the signs, if you can detach yourself from the crazy anxiety or whatever it is that you're going through and just see it. That Triton also had significant meaning for me because I love lladro figurines. They're made in Spain and Sevilla. And when we went on a trip to Spain, I asked the crew, hey, do you guys mind? I would really love to see how they're made, the artistic process. So, they went ahead, they went along with it. My husband had purchased for me a Poseidon with the mermaid on eBay. So when he passed, that was another reason. I'm like, I know it's going to be this because there's an emotional charge to it. There were 3 signatures on the bottom of that lladro. So he asked the tour guide there, we have one of these, and it's from their fantasy collection because I love all the fairies and the mermaids. And he says, there's 3 signatures. And he had taken a picture, and she shows the girl, and she's like, wow, that was the original owner, the dad that has since died, and now the 2 sons that continue on. So when I chose that as my sign, it was something really powerful, and it just pops up all the time when I least expect it. So, and they continue. He apparently, being an attorney, I guess he wanted to write his own contract. So we went from Poseidon to a bunch of other things that he has shown that he wants to be part of his whole vocabulary. Brianna and I, at the time of his passing, we tried to get out of town, kind of distract ourselves. We were in Lake Tahoe, and we decided to rent bikes for the entire day. And when we get there, of course, the individual who's renting the bicycles, his name is Michael, which was my husband's name. We're like, oh, cool, okay. And I'm like, all right, but let's see, Brie. We kind of made it into a game that day. We counted 17 different signs from him. Her chain came off her bike. We stopped in front of a house. The numbers of the house were his birthday. We turned down another street. We stopped to drink water. It was Michael Street. And it just went on and on. I mean, I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. And I kept looking for the chance, maybe it isn't. And then there would be like 3 or 4 more. He just rounded it down on us like, this is definitely me. I am on the trip with you guys. So here I am. Enjoy me. And it is incredibly special when you have a loss like that. And that connection's gone, right? It's gone. At least this is what you think. But it isn't. If you allow yourself to see and test it, I'm telling you, go empirical and test it for yourself. Don't take anybody's word for it. Don't take our stories, because these are our stories. We don't have any evidence. These are just what we've been through. But it cuts your grieving process. It makes all the difference in the world. I immediately hooked up with a therapist, as I did for my daughter when he died, because there was just so much to deal with. And she would say to me, and she was a grief specialist, Jeanette, what are you doing differently that you're in such a better place? To which I responded, a better place? You mean there's a worse place to be than where I'm at right now? And she said, oh my God, yeah. What is it that, are you reading? What is it that you're doing? And I said, well, I'm going to level with you. Ever since I was young, I would see and hear things. And it has come really to my attention what that really was about, and has amped up the probability of finding joy again and recognizing that he's not gone. If anything, his energy lives on and continues to, come into the point where I'm like, all right, give it a break. I need to hear from somebody else right now. So
go sit on the couch.
If that helps anybody out there, take some, some solace in that, and check out that book. I have nothing to do with it. I don't get any kickbacks, but it's really simple, and test it out for yourself. Test it out for yourself and see how it goes. And I thank you for letting me share these stories with you.
Thank you for sharing. That's incredible. That's it kind of got to a point where it's undeniably him, because there's so many signs.
You know what did it? The fact that it became such a pain in the ass. Because there would be days where I'm like, oh my God, can we stop debating already? And my friend's psychologist is a therapist. So, the two halves of the brain, I'm like, give it a rest. Just give it a rest. Incredibly persistent. Probably why he was successful at the stuff that he did. Yes.
Wow. And if that's not enough for you, they're incredible stories. Absolutely incredible stories. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. Did anyone have anything else they wanted to quickly add before we wrap this up?
Yes. So going on what Jeanette's just said about testing them, I referred earlier to me driving to Liverpool, which is from where I live. It's about anything from a 3 to a 5 hour journey, depends on the time, traffic and everything. And again, I get pretty much in my head when I'm driving, and I'm thinking about stuff, and and then all of a sudden I kind of took notice of what I was thinking about and what was on the radio. It was answering my question. And I was like, oh, wow. Jesus, this is a bit friggin' bonkers. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to test this. So I'd ask another question in my mind, and I'd hear number one. So I'm like, the hell's number one? So I looked at the radio, and of course it's got channels, hasn't it? Channel settings or radio station settings. So I pressed number one, and the song that came on answered my question. So I'm like, okay, this is really good. So I asked it another question, a harder one, thinking, got you.
I got you now.
Yeah. And I heard number 4. So I pressed station number 4, and a completely different genre of music was on, which completely answered my question.
Wow.
So it's the small stuff, you've got to be open to it. You've got to listen to it. You've got to be aware of it. Instead of kind of like going in on yourself when you're grieving and thinking about, people who you've loved and so say lost, just take notice of what you're thinking and what's going on around you at the same time. You'll be amazed.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazed.
Thank you,
It goes
Dawn.
to the synchronicity that Alicia talked about.
Yeah.
The things just kind of fall into place, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't deny it. You go, oh my God, why am I crying?
So everybody's going to be
turning
turning to their radio station like the Magic 8 Ball now.
Really?
I
They'll save
want
quite a lot on
radio
therapy if they can
station.
get their answers from the radio. Put all the psychologists out of business.
Exactly.
I know.
So Dawn with an E, I want that radio station.
The
Your
Dawn
radio
without the E.
box. Give me one of those.
Oh, that was Dawn without the E.
On number
Oh,
one,
sorry.
have we learned
I got
nothing
it
this
mixed up.
afternoon?
That's
Come
okay.
on, Kim. There's only one voice like mine. I'm English. I'm the English one here. It wasn't the Canadian. It was the English one. Okay, get it right.
Yeah, the English version.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, Kim is actually blind and partial. She also suffers hearing loss. That's correct, isn't it, Kim?
I didn't know that. No, I'm kidding. Yes. I am blind and I do wear hearing aids. So just have a little patience with me.
Yeah.
No excuse as far as I'm concerned. Get my voice right.
Yes,
So she
and
does it. Sorry, go on, Alicia.
Yes, I need to get a word in edgewise. So please, everyone, Dawn, the original.
Yeah,
I just wanted
Canada.
it would stop. Listen, Miss, if we all would just watch the podcast of Kim, we would know it. She did a lovely podcast, and I just really thought it was brilliant. And it showed, even people who have difficulties and can, come out and really, really learn and be good at being spiritual, if we want to call it good. No, not really. We want to call it she's great at what she does.
Yeah, thank you, Alicia.
Thank you. Wow.
That's so true. And I must admit, Kim, you do a fantastic job. Okay, maybe just except for before, picking out voices. Like normally Kim would say, please, can you say your name first? But I've known you for a few years now, and you do a fantastic job knowing exactly who's talking. Okay, except for before, knowing exactly who's talking without them even saying their name, just by picking the accents. And again, we're from all over the world, so we do all speak differently, and we have unique accents and vocabulary. So yeah,
you know what I think the issue was there is my E is silent.
Oh. That's probably what it was then.
You know what I think the issue is? I think you need to change your name. Please speaking.
Oh,
right.
I've always liked Sabrina.
I think if we just say the rebel Dawn, we'll know exactly who we're talking about.
Yes, and that's not me.
So as you've just heard then, for all the listeners and viewers, again, this is like an unruly classroom, and you've got the few troublemakers that get everybody else into trouble and drag them along behind. Always fun times when we get together. And this is a great way to show people as well, because I'm going to say, before I really entered into this world fully as I am now, a lot of people take mediumship and spirituality very seriously. And I always think it has to be fun. It needs to be fun. And the spirit world love the funness in it. They love the laughter. They love the high spirits. They love all of it. The jokes, everything. And we honestly can all say, I can speak on behalf of all of us, we walk away from these Zooms when we get together, and we're all buzzing. We're all on cloud nine. It's always amazing, wonderful, fabulous. And the camaraderie is just so special and so spectacular. So
it is.
It is. And I just want to thank you guys for sharing your stories today, for being here with me. And each one of you have all done your own episodes with me. So please go to the Mediums Table on YouTube and all good podcasting channels, and you will find them on there. I will also put the links to where everybody can find each and every one of you, so that if someone wants to reach out and take advantage of your services, they can do that. And again, I just want to say a big thank you to all of you. And I am sure this will not be the last get together for us. There are so many more questions that we have to
thank
answer.
you, Michelle, for putting it all together and doing all the hard work of trying to keep the group, particularly some of us, organized and waiting our turn to speak. That was difficult.
Don't be casting aspersions over to my side of the pond.
Yes, hold it down, girl.
Okay, thank you. I want to say thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys.
Awesome.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
And we will see you all very soon on another episode of The Medium's Table. We thank you for joining us. To view the show notes, head over to themediumstable.com.au. If you want to watch these episodes, head over to our YouTube channel, The Medium's Table Podcast.